Hello YouTube, it's me, greenminer13, your host with the most, playing on yet again Lepter's server, the only server I can think of that I can easily describe the following weaponry. And welcome back to Green's Weapon Guide, where I describe not only, well, this is the first episode, of where I describe the weapons and good uses for them. Now, in this, I use both the polycount set of this great idea, and the polycount set was an idea that tf2 made, and if anyone knows Team Fortress 2 has the idea that 90% of all your hats are practically useless. And that's what the polycount sets are. Now let's go through the polycount sets. I will go through every class and give you brief descriptions of what they're good at and what their pros and cons. Most of them rely on hats, most don't, which is why I'm introducing these first. You won't hear any voices but mine during the video because this is probably be a long video since I'm doing all of them, starting with my personal favorite, the Spy. Now what it gave him was the ability to cloak silently, but it prevented him, and kill silently, but it prevented him from being a disguise. So that means with the Saharan Spy, you're more seen when you cloak, though. That was the negative of having all of them at once. Now this was bad for the Invisawatch, the Cloak and Dagger, but if you have the Dead Ringer, it really works well with each other. They all work really well with one another, and the class is mostly made up for the Dead Ringer, but it's also cool to have the other two watches, so you can cloak whenever you want to and be behind people. And that's what's cool about all these put together. Now, noted, I want to point out right now and early in the video that you'll see me describe classes and I won't have the hats for, or I might be missing something for them, and I'm going to continue talking about it because these hats are very hard to find and very rare. The Spies, it's fun, but you gotta be careful with it. The Sniper was given the class of the Crocodile, which required you to have the Sydney Sleeper, this, and the Bushwhacker. Now what these three and your hat, which was the head of a crocodile for this, gave you the ability of being unkillable from headshots, which is cool because for snipers you were able to beat every sniper, because it's okay. I don't really like it because I find it's kind of weird that they gave the knife. The knife's cool because you can Girardi people with your Sydney Sleeper and then hit them with the Bushwhacker, but it's weird. It's weird, I'm gonna admit it. It's weird, it's okay. You get health bonus, you're weird to fire, but pyros should not be messing with you most of the time. But you get unkillable by headshots, which means snipers can't kill you, and spies can't kill you if they have the, what's it called? The ambassador. So, yeah. Medic received, go away. There. I don't quite understand it. He received the Medic of the Amputor. Yeah. He actually received two of them, which is the Amputor one, which gives him the ability of the Amputor and the Crusader's crossbow. The crossbow doesn't do what the Sniper does and can't kill in one shot, but what it does is that you can shoot it and it heals or hurts whoever based on the distance it goes. The farther the better. And the Amputor is a normal saw, but if you taunt with it, you heal everyone, including yourself, a little buff. And the cool thing of wearing both of these two items is that you get a +1 health, so instead of 3, you heal 4. Now, this is one of the few I mentioned that you don't need a hat for. He also received this one, this is not a polycount set, but it's still a set, so I wanted to describe it. It's not really anything, I guess I don't know why they made it, it's just kind of fun that they added their own little Uber charge to it, or their own little thing to it. The Engineer actually does not have a polycount set. Oh yeah, he doesn't have a polycount set, but he does have a set. And so I will go into that, which requires you to have, and that'll work, requires you to have the Eureka effect and the Thompson, which is good because he can teleport and has no longer need of ammo. It's kind of interesting, but they never gave him one. Heavy received one with this one, with the Brass Beast, which makes him super strong, super slow, which is funny because the Brass Beast and the steak are completely different. And that's not a steak, that's not a sandwich, that's just a steak. You can't heal from it eating it, so I don't understand. Anyway, what it does is it makes him very powerful and resistant to crit. Yeah, this doesn't need a hat. This is another one of those that didn't quite need a hat to use it, so it was kind of interesting. The Demo Man received a few interesting ones. The most important one he received was the Lock and Load and the Ulapul Caber combo. That gave you a fire resistance. And then they also gave him one that requires the Splendid Screen, but that's not really important. What we want to look at is the Lock and Load. That's another one that actually you could use any sticky launcher, which most people combine it with a shield so you wouldn't kill yourself from an explosion or always crit it, because it could not crit by itself. And it gave you even more defensiveness to it, and you got a lot of fire resistance added to it. Now granted, fun fact about it is that the Tarjan Charge gives you a 50 buff in fire. If you were to wear both of these, you would have a 55% buff and not a pure 60, as if both stats don't stack. That's what I'm trying to do. Pyro received my favorite one, the Attendant Polycount stat, which makes you move faster based off having all four of these on. You have to have, and it makes you move faster, and 10% bullet damage vulnerable on wear. Now the cool thing is you could have any secondary. I prefer the flare gun because I just like the flare gun. It's cool, always crits on people fire, and it's fun, and you could always heal if you kill someone with your power jack, and the degreaser's always cool with weapon swapping. So it's always a cool little combo, although I don't think it's very useful in certain levels where people will be crowded up, because people will attack you. This will be, you know what, I just noticed that the soldier and the sniper, the only two classes I don't have it for, but what the weapon is the battalion backup plus the black box, and what it does is it gives you increased resistance to sentries. It makes you defense higher to sentries, which is funny because you need 4 normal rockets to destroy it, so they give you 3 and give you better resistance, and that's cool, and I don't know how that's different, but that's cool for the soldier. And then we have the special delivery, which is from the scout, which they updated the shortstop and it made it slower and weaker, and it used to be good, but then they weakened it, but it pretty much just gives scout a max health and the ability to heal himself after a while. It's kind of cool. I don't quite like it, but then again, I don't like scout at all, so it's kind of funny. And now let me give you what each of these is good with. I'll give you what the polycount sets, little helpful tips, and what these go good with. As the spy, you already know it goes really well with the Dead Ringer. You can use really well because you can die. Decloaking is now silent as ever, and you're invisible pretty much still for the most part. And that's, sorry, wrong button, I just realized that. And then we have the sniper. You will receive any secondary you want to. I find it that if I could, actually, he's one of the few you wouldn't get an extra item for, but I don't really like that polycount set. I prefer if you were able to switch it out, because I like adding Girardi, because the Sydney Sweeper applies Girardi and the Bushwhacker does crits. The medic, you're allowed any medigun you want. So if you were to use this polycount set, use either the Kritzkrieg or the medigun, in my opinion. Not that I don't like the quick fix, I just would say that your ability to heal quicker is already fast enough buffed. So I would prefer the medigun because of your own ability to heal and the ability to heal others is pretty good. The heavy you don't get an option to, so it's kind of interesting. But if you were playing as heavy, please note that if you're playing as this polycount set, please play really defensively. Don't try to be a heavy to go out there in the battlefield. You might not like what you find. On Demo Man, like I said, you might want to try the charge and targe if you're fixing it up to work with these two. And as you can see, I'm going to switch it so you can see 10 buff, fire. And now the charge and targe gives 50 plus. It's a 55. 10 buff. This has 20 fire. And now it's 28. So this isn't a terrible one, but it never is true. Now it's more truer for the Splendid, but I would prefer the charge, for it gives a better explosive defense, especially with the lock and load doing more damage to you from itself. So you gotta be careful with that. And yeah, that's that. The pyro, I prefer the flare gun. Now people have told me that you should get the shotguns and equip to that because of your ability to switch out faster, and the shotguns let you deal with other people in a better way. I like the flare gun for long distance, but pyros are very general. If you were the soldier and you have this, you have the defense. In the old days, I would say just get the equalizer, but I would have to continue with the equalizer with your own ability if you really needed to. Use the backup and then run out there with an equalizer. If the damage they do would be meaningless because of the hits you pull off, the damage you put out would be pretty good. And just this is one loadout, and then the scout, you can't do it. Don't use it. Don't use it. Don't use it. That's my opinion. Also, those are it. Preference in the polycount sets, they're all used because some needed hats, and that's what made them really great. Now I will show you the Dead Ringer to prove that you can actually decloak behind people. Now, I don't know about this is on Lepter's server, by the way, in case you want to use it at any time. Oh wow. Oh, that's Lepter right there. Shout out to Lepter, who I just backstabbed in this polycount demonstration. Yeah, didn't actually expect to see him here, but if you want to, subscribe to his channel and go to his servers in the description below, and don't be afraid to don't feel free to also subscribe to my channel and play with me all the time. And I'm probably always going to be on Lepter's server, and leave a comment in the section below. And yeah, I'm going to cut this episode off. If you need to know anything about a specific weapon or a idea for something, let me know, and I will hit you up. And goodbye YouTube, and I will see you later. This has been greenminer13 signing off.